The federal government has officially shut down for the first time in almost 7 years. It will result in furloughs for thousands of employees and potential mass layoffs. The Senate failed to pass a measure that would have kept the government funded past the midnight deadline. Democrats are demanding the extension of health care tax credits in exchange for their support. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer spoke after that vote failed.
We see now Republicans are plunging America into a shutdown, rejecting bipartisan talks, pushing a partisan bill, and risking America's health care, worst of all.
However, Republicans are blaming the shutdown on Democrats. Just hours before midnight, House Speaker Mike Johnson claimed Schumer was doing this for political gain.
Chuck Schumer's decided to close the government down. Now, it goes against everything he's ever said throughout his entire career. He's desperate. He's making a personal, selfish decision to close the government to give himself some sort of political cover.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with the latest on this. Natalie, good morning. So the government is shut down. What will this look like today? And what else are lawmakers saying?
Good morning, Errol. Well, a lot of blame from both sides, blaming each other for this, and no clear picture at this point of how long this is going to last, where exactly we go from here, with the leadership that you heard from clearly continuing to stand firm in their negotiating position. But we did kind of get a sense of one strategy from Senate Majority Leader John Thune speaking to reporters last night. He said there are some conversations ongoing with rank and file Democrats to try to convince them to get on board with the GOP continuing resolution. Last night, during that failed vote, you did have two Democratic senators, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania and Senator Cortez Masto from Nevada, along with Angus King from Maine, who's an independent but caucuses with the Democrats, vote for that GOP measure. Thune would need at least 5 more votes on his side. So we're hearing that there, could be more votes later today. But at the same time, Democratic leadership is saying that it's adamant that health care funding, additional subsidies be linked to this negotiation, saying that they are willing to sit down with Republicans to work on a bipartisan solution to address the concerns they have about health care. Republicans say that they're not going to negotiate this until the government is back open. In the meantime, the Office of Management and Budget has sent a memo to federal agencies saying, now is the time to officially take steps to wind things down given the shutdown. And in one line, OMB says, quote, "It is unclear how long Democrats will maintain their untenable posture, making the duration of the shutdown difficult to predict." You heard from the president yesterday saying that layoffs could certainly be part of this. Already agencies have posted plans online, including the CDC, that did note that reduction in force layoffs could be a part of this, Errol.
Wow, there's a lot happening there. We hope a solution is found soon. Natalie, thank you very much. April Goggins is the president of the National Treasury Employees Union, Chapter 250, and she joins us with how this is hitting you and your people. April, good morning. What does the shutdown mean for you and your membership right now?
Yeah, it means a lot of uncertainty, but it also means a continuation of some of the terror and not knowing what's happening from day to day that they've already been dealing with for the past 3 months. It means worrying about how they're going to feed their families, at the same time wanting to make sure that they stand up for themselves as federal workers, but also to make sure that when we come back, that our communities are receiving the services that they need without having to capitulate to what could be a worse situation when we come back.
It's interesting you've mentioned that, a lot of your membership has already been stressed since perhaps DOGE cuts and other limitations of the federal workforce. In what ways, then, can your workers protect themselves? Because at least those being furloughed will get back pay when things open up again.
Hopefully we'll get back pay. I think right now, my chapter has been amazing with each other, right? A few of our chapter members have created a mutual aid group And one thing that we learned from the 1960s and the civil rights movement is that there were always people behind the scenes who took care of each other. If there was a bus boycott, somebody had to make the breakfast for workers who couldn't make it in the morning, had to fix shoes. And so our workers have come together to try to meet each other's like basic emotional and care needs during this time as well. I think people need to watch the news for the facts. I think they need to lean on each other. I think that at this time, we have to lean into powerfulness and not feel powerlessness. And we do that through solidarity.
And I would assume you're saying that because there could be a lot of pain ahead. The longest shutdown was more than 30 days. What might the outcome be for much of your membership if this lasts that long?
Yeah, I was there during that. And, one of the things people don't realize is that federal employees can't take a job while they're on furlough. We can't take public benefits or we'd have to pay them back. So there's a real loss of income, which means a real loss of your basic needs for every day. The average federal employee, because we're all workers like the rest of the country, isn't a bureaucrat making hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. These are everyday people, working class people. And so not having the basic needs met is a real situation. But there's the emotional toll as well. My members can tell you the absolute almost terror of waking up every morning wondering if you still have a job because they've lost so many of their coworkers. And so this is just another thing for them to have to worry about. But because we've been doing it so long, our members are incredibly strong as well.
Well, April Goggins, I appreciate you joining us and giving us some real personal insight into what so many people are going through as we speak. Please stay close. We'll want to get more updates from you as this moves on. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And the shutdown will impact more than just federal workers. Yesterday on The Takeout, before the shutdown began, Major Garrett asked Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler about her agency and the people it serves will be affected.
It means Main Street businesses won't get the funding that they thought they would get from their local lender to hire, to invest, to grow on Main Street. And that $860 million week after week adds up to billions of dollars. And the SBA has set a record this year in SBA lending to the tune of $45 billion across small businesses across this country. And that's the economic heartbeat of our country.
The director of the Office of Management and Budget has said if there is a shutdown, there would be an opportunity to lay off permanently non-productive members of various agencies or those who don't support the Trump agenda. Does that mean anyone who works for you?
Well, look, we have the ability to do that under statute, under our regulatory authority in areas that aren't funded past the shutdown, which is today. The Schumer shutdown doesn't have to happen. Democrats have had every reasonable opportunity to get on board with this bipartisan legislation in the House and in the Senate to keep the government functioning for our military, for our farmers, for our small businesses, for families, working families who rely on nutrition assistance.
Now you can stream more conversations like this on The Takeout with Major Garrett weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern right here on CBS News 24/7. Now, with the government officially shut down, let's look at what this means for services potentially impacting your daily life. Let's start with what will actually continue. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid will not have an interruption. However, the administrative side of these services, like call centers and benefits casework, will be impacted because those agencies are furloughing staff performing what are described as non-essential services. Over at the airport, air traffic controllers will still be managing the flow of planes, and the TSA will perform security screenings, but those employees will be working without pay until the shutdown ends. During the 2018-2019 shutdown, many TSA officers and air traffic controllers called out sick, or so many called out sick that airports were forced to close some checkpoints, flights were delayed, as you can imagine, and Miami even had to shutter an entire terminal. Now, law enforcement activity, including FBI investigations, immigration operations, and military tours, that will continue mostly uninterrupted. On the health side, you see there, imported food screened by the Food and Drug Administration and the National Institutes of Health will continue caring for patients in its clinical center. And those employees will also work without pay until the shutdown ends. So what are some of the services that will stop as of today? Well, civil litigation by the Justice Department against organizations or local governments, routine inspections of manufacturing plants, as well as screenings of livestock feed, which is normally checked to make sure there's nothing harmful inside. All that ends today. Many national parks will also shut down. And all collection of economic data will also stop. So that means there will not be a new jobs report on Friday.